Utah, they're 17-7 last 24. Brooklyn, 5-17 last 22. That's straight up. But I think there's signs that these teams will be reverting back to their respective means. Jazz lost 3 of 5. The 2 wins, who are they against? Bottom feeders, Washington and Charlotte. Obviously, 2 of the absolute dirt worst teams in the league. The Nets just picked up a nice home win by 2 over Houston. Finally, a close result going their way, Teddy. It has been insane, the late game meltdowns we've seen with the Nets. They had one of the league's hottest teams, the Clippers, down by 28 last week, and they lost. What was it, a 22-0 run to end that game? You don't see that very often. They led the Knicks, another one of the league's hottest teams, by 9 in the fourth quarter. Somehow they lose that one. And then they faced Minnesota, who's got the best record in the West, lost by 2. Obviously, we need Brooklyn to win here, but I'm looking at this. Utah is a drop in class from the previous Brooklyn opponents, and I think it's time to buy low on Brooklyn. The Houston team Brooklyn just beat, I have rated better than the Jazz. These 2 teams, honestly, I have rated fairly even over the full course of the year, so I'm happy now it's at +1. I like that. And you look at the previous meeting, okay, between these 2 teams, I believe it was last month, Brooklyn was actually laying points in Utah. Obviously, odds makers had to adjust, Teddy, based on what we've seen over the last month since that, and the Jazz won the first meeting. But this is the Jazz's 5th straight game on the highway. Situationally, I think it's a good time to fade them. I will roll with Brooklyn. My goodness, they can't go the rest of the season without winning back-to-back games, can they?
Well, last time they won back-to-back games, I believe, was the first week of December. It's certainly been a while.
Yeah.
I mean, the Nets did everything they possibly could to lose to Houston. They built a big lead and let it all fall apart at the end. And it was fortuitous for them to come away with that victory on Saturday. They should get Ben Simmons back in the lineup tonight, which, of course, means adjusting rotations and all of that, which can be problematic for teams. But more than any other factor, let's talk about the Nets' inability. Because, again, they did everything they could to lose to Houston the other night. Found a way to escape with a win. They're 0-6 against the spread, their last 6 tries off a win since the beginning of December. So it's like the last 8 weeks they haven't been able to bounce back off a win. And there's something like in games decided by 5 points or less, they're like 5-13 their last 18. I mean, they've just been awful at finding ways to win these tight games. Whereas Utah has been pretty good at winning some of these games. Yeah, I guess I am counteracting you. I'm coming back for the whole analysis the other way because obviously I've got the Jazz as a free play for my clients today. But you said something interesting. You said that you got that the Nets just beat Houston and you have the Houston better than Utah. I've got Utah a field goal better than Houston, at least. I'm surprised that we have such differing numbers at this stage of the season. The Jazz have played great ball for the last 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, I'm just not a believer in the Jazz. I think they're a below-average basketball team. I would be surprised if they even made the play-in round in the Western Conference. Obviously, the West more loaded than the East, as it typically is. I'm just, they caught me by surprise. I believe, actually, that when we did that little thing for you, Teddy, on the program, where I got to come on and question you the day you were at $2 Kepper. And granted, that was a while ago, okay, and a lot has changed. But you talked about the idea of, like, Utah, how they shouldn't be laying that many points to anybody. I just give them credit for what they've done over the last month. I just think when all is said and done, I don't think they're as good as they've played over the last month. And again, something that I think is really key, it's their 5th straight road game. Look at who they've started to slow down. They've lost 3 of 5. The 2 wins were against Washington and Charlotte, who I think you and I would both agree are in the bottom 4 of the NBA. So I just think situationally, it's a time to fade the Jazz, and then just from straight regression theory, I will back Brooklyn on their long journey to the middle, in the words of the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman.